The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations. That's forming a.
Good evening. This is Lowe's Moore, and welcome back to The Blueprint. Man, usually I say I'm excited. I am excited. I'm excited about my guests. Looking forward to our conversation this evening. But a little down this week. Usually not down, but a little down this week, man. The thing is, violence has been everywhere, dealing with what's going on in the Ukraine, what's continues to go on in America, and, and all the things that are happening in New York City, and then, in the Bronx, and then to have it kind of hit home. It's not a kind of hit home. It hit home, after spending a number of times watching the boys basketball team perform this year. The girls, I've had the opportunity to see the girls just perform, and just enjoying the sports in the city of Mount Vernon, and also the other entertaining things that I had the opportunity, like at the Denzel Washington School. We saw the Lion King kids did a tremendous job performing, so many positive things. And, of course, everybody knows now that after the celebration, the boys winning the championship on Friday, there was a celebration at City Hall. And after a young cheerleader was stabbed, and eventually she passed away. And man, that kind of hit home, man, because it's like a parent's nightmare. I mean, I got 4 kids, and for many years, my wife and I, number one, trust. We had to trust. When you send them to daycare, childcare, or even sending them to after school programs, or even being part of the school system, man. When you hear something, man, you jump on the phone. Fortunately, today we have cell phones, so you jump on, you jump on the cell phone, you call your kid and make sure if something's happening in that area, are you safe? So I can't even imagine what parent is experienced at this time, man. But honestly, it's going to be a lot of dialogue. I've been in Mount Vernon, man, all my life. I grew up here. I've been here since I was 5 years old. And, as an adult, man, and as executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, man, over the years, I've done enough marching against violence, and I've done enough memorials at candlelight situations. This stuff seems to continue to happen over and over and over again. We need to figure. I know what. Number one, I really know what the solution is. And, that it's so crazy, but I know the solution is or the remnant, in my estimation, is, I was thinking back, man, of we have tough times when I grew up, but I just imagine the love, that we had back then, the community that we had back then. And I just remember real quickly, anytime I would go to school, elementary school, jump the fence, whatever, there was a lady by the name of Miss Hall sitting in the window, man. And she would tell my mother everything, right? And I get home, my mother said, you jumped the fence in your new clothes. And I was like, no, I didn't jump the fence. Oh, no, you did jump the fence. Miss Hall said she saw you jump that fence, and so it was nowhere you could go, right? That somebody wasn't in your ear, or somebody wasn't saying something to you. I just remember my good friend Ralph Burtz, his father owned a shoe shine shop up 3rd Street. And I remember, going up 3rd Street with a group of my friends, and we would say, away from your parents, you would say some not nice things, right? And they would come out the shop, man. Hey, boy, don't let me hear you cursing like that again, man. Hey, you need to stop that. And then you like, we're gonna go tell your mother, and then you realize they were our social media at the time, right? They the human social media. Everywhere you go, somebody was gonna tell your mother, right? But it's not necessarily that way anymore, man. And I was just thinking, man, that young lady, man, in that experience, and how many people were actually there, right? And that probably could have prevented it. Somebody did try to stop it, right? Somebody tried to stop it. They got hurt. But I was just thinking about the group of people on both sides, and somebody could have just said, man, this ain't worth it. As a group, this is not worth it. Let's change this narrative, and let's do something else, man. We could have found, here's a celebration, man, and here we out here, right, in the same community, trying to accomplish the same things, and somebody ends up, passing away. And it's just, yeah, it just took me for a moment. I got grandkids now. I got 4 grandkids, man. And sometimes you just think like, raising children in this time, man. But I made it through. My kids are making it through. I believe by the grace of God, my grandkids will make it through too. But I do think we need to return back to a place, right? We need to return back to God, number one. Because it says, if we deny retaining God in our knowledge, right, he will turn us over to ourselves, right? When we don't retain it in our knowledge, and when we turn into ourselves, right, we will do anything, right? We will do anything. We will make bad decisions, because we're not acknowledging. It's something about acknowledging God that brings something out in you, right? That causes you to think before you act, and it causes you to feel something like, what I'm about to do, I feel bad about it, and so I'm going to change how I think, and I'm going to change the decisions I'm about to make when I got God in my life, right? And when I have a relationship to God, I think the number one thing that that to solve these issues is retaining God in our knowledge, having a knowledge of Him. Number two is that we should have a real clear understanding of our history, right? If you don't know where you've been, you have no idea where you are, and you have no idea what your future will be, right? And that's number two. And then we got to go back to the village, right? We got to go back to the village mentality where we're looking out for one another. It's not my kids. All the kids are my kids, right? And I hurt when one parent loses a child, or a child gets hurt. I hurt, right? The whole community hurts, right? And I think that, man, right now we're going to be reactive rather than being proactive, right? And that's something that we have to change. We have to be more proactive than reactive. And so again, let me jump right into it. But hey, keep the families, of both children. They were children. They kids will tell you they're not children, right? We're not kids, like that. Don't speak to us like we kids, So but sometimes they need adult supervision, and they need to understand the importance of adult authority, the authority of adult, and they need to respect that. So again, right, one person was stabbed, wasn't killed, but somebody else died, a cause of the stabbing. So let me drop this. I'm expecting tonight to be. This is my pebble, right? Let me see my pebble. A pebble I'm gonna drop in the pond. I'm expecting the ripple effect of this show tonight, right? So let me jump right in it, and I'm gonna start off with my book, the book of the week, right? This is a wonderful book. I read it some years ago. It's called Visioneering, right, by Andy Stanley, and very powerful because I think it is, Scripture says, I always say a people or a person without a vision will perish. It says write the vision, make it plain, line upon line, precept upon precept, right? Have a vision, have a plan, have a blueprint, right? And that's not just for businesses or organizations, for families, and is for individuals. Each individual should have a vision, right? And I think many of the time, when young people don't know where they're going, right? I want to get back into it, but when young people don't know where they're going, when they have no vision, no dream, right? No of the future, right? Sometimes, they get lost. So that's the book of the week. It's an old book. I think he's did an updated version of it. Check it out. And here's the word of the week. The word of the week is vision. The ability to see. I love it. The image or insight for something in the future. Have a vision. I mean, look that word up. Make it a part of your life. Vision. And then number 3 is, here's our affirmation, the Pierce Harper affirmation quote moment. And I love saying this when I get up in the morning. I am fearless, right? Sometimes in the morning, you got to speak to yourself. When my wife she get up before me, right? And she turns on the news, and it's about when I turn over and finally kind of get my head clear, right? 20 things have been said that are negative. So I can wake up in a negative mindset. But man, I got to say, I got to get rid of this fear, right? And I said, look, I am fearless when I wake up in the morning. So, have that mindset to be fearless. And then next is, of course, got my music, right? Pastor Michael Jr., right? I love that song, Big, right? I don't know. I'm sure everybody heard it, right? I love that song, man. Live and free, and I'm big, man. Dream big, right? Live big. I'm excited about that. And then the movie, I don't know if you have men's ministries and you've seen this movie right here. Show Me the Father. I mean, an awesome. If you got a men's ministry, awesome movie. I had a chance to see it a couple of weeks ago. I think it's Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. You should check it out, man. Very powerful. If you got a group of men, you got a son, sit down with them and check it out. Right. And then I got a few shout outs before we get rolling here. Yeah, man. Dawn Stanley was amazing, man. Look at that resume, man. I don't know if you guys could see that, man, but man, she's been putting up some stuff over the years, man. I want to give her a shout out. Dawn Stanley, South Carolina. They were wonderful. They went from number 1 in the beginning, number 1 in the middle, and finish it off by being number 1 at the end, right? I also want to give it a shout out to them for winning the national championship, right? I can't tell my friend David from Mount Vernon, David Belton, we call him Bubbles, right? Man, I can't tell him nothing. His head is just big because he's down there in South Carolina. He's a season ticket holder, right? So all year long, he's been telling my mother that because she's a UConn fan. She said, I'm going to convert her. I'm going to send her a hat. I'm going to send her a T-shirt, right? I'm going to convert her from UConn into South Carolina, right? I mean, eventually, it's going to be a little hard with 11 championships versus 2, but okay, we'll see. I think my mom still loves UConn. So, but shout out to South Carolina. And then also to Kansas University, right? Congratulations to them. And, we have one of the coaches. I'm trying to remember the coach's name. What's the coach's name up there? Fred Quarterbaum. Oh, yeah. Fred Quarterbaum Jr. Yeah, he was at St. John's. I think he's actually from Stepinac. He may be from Stepinac High School. Man, we've known him for a long time. He's always been around. Great guy, man. He's from up this way. And I want to say congratulations to him. Yeah, and my friend I played crazy guy, man. We played in Cleveland together. Cleveland Cavaliers. Dave Magley, right? Dave Magley was a star at Kansas University, and also that's where, I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but the inventor of basketball was a professor there, and at Kansas University. Also, the great Wilt Chamberlain, he still holds most of the records, right? Paul Pierce all went to Kansas, and believe it or not, I did not go to Kansas, but my first letter I ever received in my sophomore year, right, was Kansas University. I will never forget that little bird, man. When I first got that letter, I carried that around for about 6 months, right? Like I just got, man, like somebody just gave me a lotto ticket that would win, right? Yeah, I mean, I carried that thing around, had it sticking out my books. Everybody said, man, what's that right there? Oh, man, yeah, they want me to come to school there, and it was all colorful and everything. I ended up going to West Virginia. After that letter, other letters just kept pouring in. Hey, then it was a hard decision. But congratulations to those teams, man. It was a long road. You got there. You handled your business, right? And I said, for even those who lost, because there's only one winner, right? There's only one winner at the end. That's why I always say my family's competitive. When we go bowling, man. My mom, my wife, all of us, man. There's only going to be one happy person at the end, and that's the person who won. And I was always trying to be the winner. Take no prisoners. That's what I say. But anyway, coming up next week, we got Robert Bobby Daniels, a Mount Vernon legend, man. This guy was a phenomenal track runner. When I was a little kid, man, I was like, man, I want to run like Bobby, man. All the little kids was running. We run through the projects, man, putting our hands up, running real fast like Bobby. Man, he was amazing, man. He broke a lot of records that he didn't get credit for, man. He was living in a time, man. Hey, whereas an African American, as a black man, hey, they weren't trying to get you to let you break a bunch of records, man. But he was amazing. But you know what? He didn't only have that talent, but man, he has become a great artist. He's going to be coming to us. It's going to be late and hit where he's at, or early in the morning. But he's coming from Italy. We're going to be doing the interview. I'm going to be in my same time. He's going to be in Italy. We're going to have a great conversation. I believe he should be in the Westchester Sports Hall of Fame, man. I'm going to be pushing for him to get there. And we're going to have a great interview. We're going to see some of his artwork. It's going to be awesome, man. This guy is fantastic. And then we got the great Bob Cimino, right? I seen Coach before they were going to the parade the other day, congratulated them and the players. And he said, man, I'm looking forward to coming on the show, man. And I'm looking forward to having him. So it's going to be great. He's won so many state championships, so many regional championships, so many county championships, man. It's just amazing, man. So I look forward to that as well. So, hey, without further ado, man, let me show you this highlight, right? It's going to be musical, right? I want to show it to you, and then we're going to jump right into this conversation. Awesome. Pastor David Holder. If everybody said, what kind of highlight is that? Yeah, boy, we talking about stretching in 2022, right? You've been stretching for a while now. And man, it's great to have you. Man, I'm looking forward to the future. You know, as you've seen at the end, that's going to be the finished product, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But welcome to the Blueprint.
Pleasure to be here, Lowe's, my friend, longtime friend.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Now, people don't know this, but it's been a while now. And I remember when you first came to visit me at the Boys and Girls Club, and we sat down and you were talking about having a church, looking for a church site in Mount Vernon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you asked me if it was possible that you guys could, meet at the Boys and Girls Club.
You remember that? Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, sure. I mean, yeah, fine. And you started to come in, and I can't remember. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a unique thought about your church and a unique mission in regards to. I think you were talking about trying to recruit. I don't know if that's a great word, but in terms of developing your membership around business, people in the business world and kind of growing a church from that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to, and we still are, create. Look, it's like the modern day, or Wakanda is the modern day, right? It's like Wakanda for Jesus, right? So
Yeah.
how do we build community, and how do we sustain community economically, socially, recreationally, on and on ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't necessarily depend on those outside of us. I'm talking about outside of Black and brown people. Love everybody, but in terms of systems, in terms of health and growth, we've got to do it ourselves. And that was really the concept of the vision that God gave me. We'll talk about that later, but there's something about the building that we're building now that has a lot to do with you don't even know it. So,
well, yeah. And you said an important, and what the word of the week was vision, right? I mean, you came to me and you were talking about a vision. Right. And, and I enjoyed having the conversation with you because, sometimes we don't see organizations like Boys and Girls Clubs or even schools as ministry.
Right.
Right. So when you talk to me about, the establishment of trying to find business people that can be a part of your church, because the number one thing I tell people when I was at the Boys and Girls Club, and particularly I was in particular, the problem at the Boys and Girls Club was it needed resource. Right. And it not only needed resources, but it needed to sustain. Right. And so finding good people to be on your board, right? It was more than good people. You needed to have not only good people, but people with capacity. Right. I mean, the ability to give it or the ability to get it. Right. And then people who were passionate about your mission, which is for us, it was young people and their families. So when you started talking about, that vision of building, through having members that were business people or business minded, people as part of they could be the start, but it's a foundation, because how can you serve others if you don't have passion and capacity?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that impacted me most way back then when I was a lot younger, and still does, is that we wanted to build on a hill and not in a hole. And what that means is, it was how do you build, as you build God's kingdom, as you do programming, as you help more people who are oppressed and poor and need and of services. And to me, the church has to provide those kinds of things. We don't look, how do we fill the hole? How do we fill the need? We look at the assets of the community, meaning what do we bring to the table? What can we build upon? It's easier to build on a hill than it is to build in a hole. And ministry, a lot of times in programming, people say, okay, we need this. Let's find the resource to fill that need versus what do we bring to the table, which is a very different reality, right? A very different, you still accomplish what you want to accomplish in filling the hole, but you start on a hill. Right. Yeah. And not in a hole. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because I know exactly what you mean, because when I came to the Boys and Girls Club, it one time was on the hill, but it was in the hole. So I mean, I need to try to figure out how to get back up on the hill, right? Because I remember it being on the hill, and I'm sure it was in the hole before it was on the hill. But I remember as a kid, it was on the hill. Right. And so when you look at all those great people, Denzel Washington and Billy Thomas and James Jones and all these great people, men and women that came through the Boys and Girls Club, man, for me, it was on the hill. Right. I came back because it was in the hole. Right. And we were trying to get back up on the hill. So I understand clearly what you're saying. I'd rather start out on the hill,
Absolutely. And, how do you, we bring, and we're wonderful people, right? We bring so many resources. We sometimes don't realize how much capacity we actually have or have access to. And that's a really important point. Just the mere fact as a young person, when we walked into I walked into the Boys and Girls Club to meet you. We started an entrepreneurial program there, ran it for a number of years to teach kids how to start and run their own business in the community, and then be responsible to the community and what they're doing. And that's just teaching people, like you said, that's teaching kids capacity so that they can actually build on a hill and not in a hole. When the world will say you're in a hole, it's like, well, no, you're smarter than that, and when you teach business, you teach math, you teach English, you teach communication skills, you teach how to communicate, how to strategize, how to connect with collaborate with people and build. So kids at Mount Vernon, amazing. Like, we're amazing that we brought in and that you brought in. We were accessing your kids. So just a beautiful thing. So it was the concept of the church there to like, okay, what do we bring to the table? How can we really help this community with the assets we bring? Right.
And which man, I'm gonna digress for a minute and go into with this curiosity. I got a curiosity question, man. Because you heard me probably from the start, right? About the violence, the situations that's happening, not just in Mount Vernon, but all over. And so some of the nuggets or dimes that you just dropped, right? Do you see them as possible solutions? Right. When you talk about building on the hill rather than in the hole.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I think, it's, everybody, look, if we were talking earlier, I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, right? Jamaica Avenue, Jamaica funk, that's what it is, We grew up a time, and, the high school I went to, you'll name that rapper that from Queens, they probably went to high school I was supposed to go to. I went to high school, and I went to a rough high school in Manhattan, but I grew up in Queens and I was supposed to go to Andrew Jackson High School. That's everybody. That's 50 Cent. That's Ja Rule. That's Run DMC. That's back then, because I'm an old head now. But, there's so much, just that alone. That's just entertainment. And we can talk about sports. There's so much. I'm talking about the mind, so much talent. I mean, the smartest people I knew were on the street. And that's the smartest people I knew. I mean, I'm talking about like able to make $1 out of 15 cents. Right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, but they didn't access the resources or get the resources they needed in order to take what they had to a place where they could have built something that would last.
Right.
And I think that was the biggest thing. I was definitely, and just like anybody, definitely not the smartest person in the group. You know what I mean? Like that's just it. So, but I figured out how to grab onto the resources and the access, and make access. Not that they weren't, able to do that. It just, that's how it just fell out that way. But it could have easily been the guy next to me, one of my best friends who just died a few years ago. Yeah. Still, man, died on the street, man. Died on the street, Merrick Boulevard, just Christmas Day, had started drinking years ago and just fell out. My best man at my wedding. And had all the talent in the world. Smart. I think he was smarter than me. Just never was able to put it together. But it was tough. The community was tough. And so didn't have the resources. Politics gets in the way. We don't get the resources and fell to the wayside.
Wow. Yeah.
So I believe that. So what you're saying, is very true.
Yeah. So, yeah, because when you were saying it in regards to when you were sharing with me about the entrepreneur spirit and bringing the program to the boys club and the learning of business, right? And the learning of managing resources and coming up with plans and, your idea for what that business is going to be, and then how to cultivate it and nurture it. And yeah, I think so many times, when I was just thinking about, what happened, it happened in New Rochelle too as well, right? Because someone I think last year was murdered last year, student on student, and I'm thinking like, man, when you talk about vision, right? When you talk about entrepreneurship, you're thinking about like, what is that going to be? Is it going to be a product or service? How am I going to make resource out of it? You're not thinking now, like you're not thinking like, okay, I don't like that person over there, right? Or what is that person doing over here, right? You're focused on the vision, right?
That's right.
You focus on the plan, and so when I think about solutions, just what you said about helping kids, start out on the hill,
right,
and is so powerful because I mean, evidently, man, I could say honestly, I wasn't, when I was in high school, I was thinking about going play. I was thinking about playing pro basketball, man. I was thinking about like, okay,
right.
I need to get my education together. I need to play well, right? I need to get to college. Of course, I'm gonna go play in the NBA. So my mind wasn't okay. When he was talking to me maybe earlier when I wasn't thinking that way. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe earlier I was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna hang with the boys. Nah, once I had a vision, once I was dreaming about something, once I was in the plan, I was like, man, you go do what you got. Okay, you go to the party. You go hang out there. I ain't got time to be hanging out with y'all running around. Running around here in Mount Vernon. So, yeah.
I think that's right. I think really having kids focus on something that they can grab onto, that they can become passionate about, or then figure out it's actually their part of their purpose, change their life, their lives.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
No question. And that's what you did. You focused. You're like, this is what I'm doing. Like everything else, that and all the anything petty, that doesn't matter.
Right. And I think that's a number one solution. What do you want to do with your life? And let's stop planning that. Let's stop planning that out. Yeah. And if you were hanging with people who are not going in the same direction you are, that's what we used to tell our kids all the time, man. Hey, here you are, you say you want to do this. Oh, you want to go to college? Oh yeah, you want to go to college? okay, who you hanging with, right? And you say, oh, I'm hanging with such. They plan on going to college. Oh no, you got to move on from that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
you're reminding me of a little anecdotal story. I have my friend, my best friend, my wedding, right? My best man. Years ago, we were in a comedy club. Years ago, we were in our early 20s, and there was a very, 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 very famous comedian who wasn't there yet. He was just growing in his craft, and I was with my best friend and some other people. And my best friend was one of the most fun. You know the cats, right? Everybody has a name, but the funniest cat you want to meet. Like, just make you laugh by him laughing. You start laughing, right? But he could just tell a story, and it was just the funniest thing. Had the greatest comebacks, all that. That was him. This very, very famous, presently famous comedian wasn't very funny, right, at that moment. And my best friend heckled him off that stage. He actually left and walked out the door. And people were laughing at what he was saying, and he left. I mean, in the middle of his act. And I looked, and what I was thinking about, I was like, man, I know you were talented, but my goodness, like his ability to tell jokes from this guy who now is everywhere and has been everywhere for years. And he died on the street a few years ago.
Wow.
I'm telling you, he was more talented. Like, and you see it, you're like, but he wasn't focused. He wasn't focused.
Yeah. So Pastor, let's get to know you a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Before we get into the project. So, three important questions I always have on the show, man. I always want the audience to hear about the importance of family, the importance of faith, and the importance of education. And like how did you mention Jamaica Queens, mom, dad? Talk a little bit about mom, dad, siblings, and then bring it on down to, you got a lovely family, right? You got a lovely family. I think we got some. I think we pulled a few pictures. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Hey, I got a picture like that when I was like trying to be Run DMC. Those guys.
That was a throwback party, couples ministry throwback party to the 80s hip hop. So I had to go run, right?
Yeah, I think I was run, right? I was run too, man. I had the big gold chain on and the glasses.
So we like to have fun, man. No, my father, I came here as an immigrant from Guyana, and I did my African ancestry recently, and a lot of people, including my father's family, a lot of people in the Caribbean came from Angola. Slave ships from Angola, right, to the Caribbean were dropped off there, and then dropped off in America. So a lot of Black. I think they only said 35% or 35% of Black men can't find their ancestry because they don't have enough in the DNA. Just because they don't have enough, that doesn't mean that, right? Just means what it is. So I had enough. They said we're 100% sure we got the tribe and the country. So that blew me away. But then I started learning more about what does it mean. Where's my family from? So I could say my father's Guyanese, but ultimately, I have enough Angolan DNA in me to say something even more significant. But he came here, 18 years old, worked his tail off, and went to school, went to Butler, and then became a pastor. I'm fourth generation pastor.
Okay.
Fourth generation, my father, his father, and his father. Right. So he came and met my mother. My mother's from Harlem. She just passed last year, but she's from Harlem in the Bronx. Was born in Harlem Hospital, grew up in the Bronx, off Jerome Avenue. And they met and fell in love in the Bronx, and then they moved to Queens. That's how I got the Jamaica Queens. But I got a lot of Harlem and little Bronx in me. Now I got the Westchester thing happening. I'm not sure I'm claiming all that. I like Mount Vernon, so I claim that. I love Mount Vernon for some reason, but maybe it just feels like home to me. But Jamaica Queens a bit. But so I I didn't want to be a pastor. Long story short, I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And so I went to business.
Well, in a way, you are.
Right. Yeah, right. So I went to, I'm in actually Philadelphia right now. I went to University of Pennsylvania. I was a neuroscience major, believe it or not.
Wow.
So don't ask me about anything about neuroscience anymore. And was trying to figure out life, and figured I had a knack for business. So I got a job. I interview well. I got a job in business with a neuroscience as a neuroscience major, and then was in Hartford, Connecticut working, and at a big company, Aetna, and then management training program. Then went out to LA and went to UCLA and got my business degree from UCLA. That was when the Bannon brothers were there. I was
there.
Yeah.
Bannon's still trying to get his money.
Is he really?
Yeah. He sued the NCAA, right? And he won, right, for his name recognition and all that stuff that people are getting now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then they they appealed it. So like 20 some years.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Ty Sedney was there too, I think, right?
Yeah, Ty Sedney. Oh,
he
was the man.
I love basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah. So I was there. Troy Aikman had just left the year before, but I saw so many basketball games I couldn't tell you. But I actually concentrated in entertainment management when I was there. So I worked at Capitol Records for a while, and then started a gospel label with one of the biggest churches out there. The Minister of Music out there at the time, the churches, West Angeles Church of God in Christ, which is Bishop Blake, who's right. Who
Denzel used to go there.
There you go. So
he donated him and Magic donated about $5 million. Yeah,
you got it. That was my pastor for some years. Love Bishop Blake, wonderful man. So I was out there doing that, working at Capitol. Actually, long story, drove BB Winans around for about an hour, just me and him. And he was showing me the new album that was coming out. I was all giddy, young, I was like 23, 24 years old. But so I was trying to figure out life, and then God called me. I knew it. I had an epiphany. He literally spoke to me and said, you're called to be a pastor. Was not interested at all because my father's a pastor. He was like, son, you need to go make some money. That's what he's telling me. It's so funny. And I entered seminary. I said, what's the closest seminary? So I went to the closest seminary. It was in Pasadena, California, a Fuller Theological Seminary. So one of the biggest seminaries. So it was great. I loved Fuller. And I was still running my gospel label with the Minister of Music from West Angeles. We had some artists and doing our thing out there. So all in my 20s. But that's kind of my story of how I became called. But what God spoke to me was I was trying to figure out, what is this MBA? How am I getting a master's in business from a pretty big school?
Right.
And you calling me to be a pastor? How does that work? God, I don't know what you're doing. This is I wasted my time then with all this money because, and he said, really, he's like, you'll figure it out. You'll see it. And I saw it, right? I was called to plan a church, start a church from scratch, which is like a churchpreneur, right? Call it church planner. So I churchpreneur. A churchpreneur, right? I started a church from scratch, didn't know anybody. That's why I came to the boys. I'm starting a church. I don't know what I'm doing. God called me. I'd like to do, I have some vision for what God's called me to do. He showed me, part of it, he shows you enough to get started. So I had a vision for what the church would look like, that it would do community development, that it would do housing, that it would be a source for jobs for people in need, poor folk, sustainable jobs. So that's what my vision has been that God gave me. And I've been focused on that vision for the last 23 years. And
wow.
It hasn't been easy, but hey,
nothing is, man. You think I just walked into the NBA? I just woke up one day, I'm in the NBA, man. I had to do no work.
I always tell people you can't try, you got to train. Because trying is one thing. Trying is that means I'm gonna try to do this. That means you're gonna let it go at some point. Training is your building. And I know athletes know more than anyone else what training is. Training is nah, this is just steps. That's all I'm doing is taking steps up.
That's
Trying
awesome, man.
letting it go right at some point. I'll try.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we train for righteousness, right?
That's right. Yeah. We study to show ourselves approved.
Yeah. So I have 2 kids. Amen. I have 2 kids. One is up here in Philly. My daughter goes to my alma mater, University of Pennsylvania. Very excited that she's here. She's a junior in the Wharton School of Business. She wants to do justice work and all that kind of stuff. So, and from a grander scheme, how do we get corporations, right? How do we get, how do we do the work? She's interested in prison reform. She's big on that, but she goes to business school. So she's trying to figure it out from a business perspective. What does that look like? But bringing the power of resources to bear for poor and oppressed people. So she's like, one of my idols right now. So, and my son is great. I love my son. My son is awesome. He's totally in the ministry. He plays baseball, plays for a national team in Mount Vernon, Sidious. I don't know if you're familiar with Sidious Prep, but Sidious is on McQuestion Parkway.
Yes. I know that I met the owner.
Right, Melvin Perez. Sidious has 4 or 5 people almost a year going in the draft, the MLB draft out of high school. Man.
Wow,
like he's doing it. So my son Jeremiah is on his team. So he plays at a high level of baseball. So yeah, and he loves the Lord. So he loves to do youth ministry and stuff. So he's a leader. So
yeah, he's a minister of sports. He's going to do some work.
He's a minister of sports. That's right. and my wife's a middle school teacher at White Plains Middle School. So we serve the community, man. That's what we do, man. That's been my heart, and that's my family legacy. So trying to continue that because God called me to it, So
yeah,
but it's the vision. You're right. You gotta have. You said vision in the beginning. Without vision, the people perish. Absolutely. And I'll take it even another step right in the same direction. Without vision, that word perish there in Hebrew, without vision, the people pull off restraint. Like they just do whatever. Like that whatever man syndrome, right?
Yeah.
So without vision, people pull off restraint. They perish because they pull off restraint. They do whatever. They're not focused. They're all over. They're scattered. And you're talking about focus and vision is beautiful. Like that's it, man. Right here, straightforward. And if you have that, you're going to succeed in whatever the Lord's called you to do.
Yeah,
I believe that.
So. Yeah. So maybe you can't get off here without talking about your wife, man.
Oh yeah, well,
you jump to the kids, man.
That's the rock. Well, she's the rock, man. It's almost not the woman beside me; it's the woman in front of me, right? So she is just a beautiful soul. She's wonderful. She's a reading specialist. She's from Hartford, the North End. She don't want me to say that, but she's from the North End of Hartford. Shout out to the North End. She went to Spelman.
Ooh, that's where my wife's mother went to. She graduated.
Yeah, really? See, yeah. Wow. Yeah, there it is. So, and so we, she is a lover of kids and their development and reading. She teaches kids on the kids who are, really advanced, and then she teaches as equally the kids who have been struggling. So she helps. As a reading specialist, helps with those kids. So it's a lot of a lot of Black and brown kids who've been struggling. She's right there on the front line for the last 20 years. So.
Wow. Yeah, you see my book behind me over there, and inside my book, that was my struggle. That was my obstacle, and the thing that was holding me back from moving forward as an athlete. Being illiterate and finding that out and being able to do something about it is one of my main chapters in the book. And one of my passions is combating illiteracy. The love of reading is so important. I mean, and right now, I'm part of the King movement, chair of the King movement with Chris Broussard. We have a chapter in Westchester, and our DNA is combating illiteracy. During the pandemic, we've given out so much information to parents, and I think over 1,000 books we gave out during the
Wow.
pandemic. Yeah. So your wife is correct. I mean, if we're going to be successful,
Mhm.
reading is the way to get there. It is actually the foundation, reading and reading comprehension.
See, and that's something. And brother got to get a copy of the book, man. You got to get a brother.
Yeah,
So no, I'll buy it, but I want to copy the books. That's awesome. And I'll personally testify my own story. If you saw my English SAT score, you'd be like, "Oh Lord," you know what I mean, like that. So I didn't have a love of reading at all. But I was a smart kid. Smart because I worked hard. Like, so take you 2 hours to study for exam. It'll take me 5 hours, but I'm gonna study those 5 hours to get that grade that you got. But it's gonna take me a lot longer. But I'm gonna do it
I'm
because
with
I
you on
gotta
that
do
one.
it.
Yeah,
Right. And
that's right.
so, but my the English side of writing, whatever you call it, the other part of the SAT, the other half,
Yeah.
when I got into college, they were like, "Yeah, you didn't get in for that. You got in because this and this and that." But it wasn't my SAT score on the English side, that's for sure.
Right.
And I think it's because I didn't want to read the Hardy Boys. I didn't want whatever it was back then. Like I don't know any Hardy Boys in my neighborhood. Like, I
Right.
don't know white boys, no disrespect. I just don't know.
Right.
So their stories don't resonate with me. It
That's
wasn't
true.
until I got to college and I took a class from a guy named Elijah Anderson at Penn, sociology class, and he had a book called A Place on the Corner. Now this guy, PhD, brother, who real quick, he had took 2 years of his graduate school life and basically lived on this corner in Southside Chicago. And he watched, in front of this bar and watched and got to know the people and became a part of the community for 2 years and wrote a book about it. Blew me away.
Wow.
And just because he realized as a PhD student from the University of Chicago, like one of the best schools in the world, how smart and amazing these people on the ground were, right? That no one would talk about on the south side of Chicago. You would think that they just go in there, get their sip on, right? And that's it. But they were just, that just blew me away. Then I started reading. He's the reason why I learned how to read. And
Right.
now I'm a voracious reader. Books galore. And that didn't happen because I had another Black man to show me, something that would resonate with me. I'm just being honest. And that was powerful for me.
Wow. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I hope your wife, you go to the mall and your wife detours you from Barnes and Nobles. I look at, Barnes and Noble. Oh no. We are not going to Barnes and Noble.
Right.
You do not know how to come out.
Right. Oh no, absolutely.
I think one of the things I'm impressed with right now, my grandson, Dakota. I think we're very proud of. We got 4. So, but my oldest daughter has Dakota. I think he's like 21 months. 21 months, and I'm most proud of because at the time I retired, we're kind of just in time to spend with him. My little buddy, and helping Michelle and Dakari by Pop Daycare, and my wife went out and bought this colorful mat with all the alphabet on it, and I and every day, I used to get on the floor, man, orange, A, apple, every day, man, we down there, and he's just looking. I'm like, hey, show me the apple, like that. He crawl around, and he see the apple, and now, the funniest thing is he's addicted to the alphabet.
Wow.
I mean, he wakes up, like he walks in the room, man. He's in the mall, he's looking at, they go A, B, like that, and you just like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's awesome to see.
Yeah,
he's just loves letters and he loves the alphabet, and and he, but yeah, man, I think that, like what you said, you and I both, we know that if you don't read and you can't comprehend, can't write, right? I mean, it is the foundation that leads you to success in science and math. You can do anything,
That's
right?
right.
If you can read
Absolutely.
and comprehend it, you can do anything you want to do. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely, without a doubt. So, yeah, that's awesome, man. But
Yeah.
we were talking about stretching.
Yeah.
You know, I had seen something in the Facebook that a while back,
Hmm.
right? And I guess I seen your vision. And I showed a little bit earlier. I think we have a photo. We just, yeah,
Yeah.
right there. The vision, the future. So talk about how do you arrive at this, man,
Yeah.
and what it, and so people will know, you know, because I mean, you went beyond my stretching, you know. Like, so yeah. So talk a little bit about the future church.
Sure, sure. So
Yeah.
we if I could talk about it either from the beginning or to the end, I'll maybe start a little bit at the I'll start at the beginning, but it's pretty quick. But I'll talk about the beginning. So we bought that. In 2004 to 2003, we were looking for a building. Right. We were actually trying to, as I was talking to you, trying to see if we could. I wanted to be close to the people I was called to serve as possible. So, you know, New Rochelle is great, but I was like, I'm already doing ministry. I'm already doing a program that we started at the Boys and Girls Club in the A.B. Davis Middle School during the week, but on the weekends at the Boys and Girls Club. Lowe's is a great man. So let me see if this is a possibility to actually start move our church into Mount Vernon because we outgrew our church in New Rochelle. The church has been there 100 years that we were worshiping in. So that's why I asked you about the Boys and Girls Club, because you had facility and we were already there. You knew me and I knew you, so there was already a relationship there, a really healthy relationship. So I was looking, and if I can be honest, right, we looked at Mount Vernon, but you know, Mount Vernon has, as you know, there were so many problems with the land in Mount Vernon. It's like some of it's toxic, right? There was like, oh, there's a printing thing that was here, so it'll cost you $2 million just to clear the land. Forget putting anything on it. You know what I mean? So there were some challenges back then and then they had a moratorium on churches. I don't even know what that means. Like, no churches can be here. Too many. Like, okay. Well, that's another story. But so the vision was, as you know, from the beginning, talking about how do I take my business acumen, and you're calling me to pastor God. What am I supposed to do with that? And so through a lot of prayer and a lot of just seeking God, God's like, yep, that's going to be housing. That's going to be economic development. It's going to be all those community development. And so when we were looking in Mount Vernon, we saw a piece of property in downtown New Rochelle. Now, downtown New Rochelle, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't ever been down there. For like 6 years, I lived in New Rochelle, except to go to the movies, because I'm just telling you the truth. I just didn't go down there. I don't know why. Well, it was nothing there really. This like nothing there, meaning like that you're gonna go shopping and do this. It wasn't much there. So at least in my view, right? And we saw this property. It was for sale. So REI, right? They have one in that just closed in Rich Hill Mall in Yonkers.
Yeah.
So and it's a camping place out of Chicago. And as soon as I saw that building, I said, wow, we're going to build affordable housing right here. We're just going to go straight up. God, I didn't just say that. God gave it to me. But I saw it. That picture you showed, I saw the building, you know, a building, which I knew it. And so what I did was did whatever I was supposed to do to be diligent to what God called me to do. And so out of all that, we purchased that building. The city of New Rochelle did not want us to purchase that building. They fought to not get us to buy that building because we were taking it off the tax rolls. You got to know your assets. One of the great assets of being a nonprofit organization, church, includes that, is that you don't have to pay taxes on real estate. Churches should take advantage of that very thing, right?
Yeah, right.
Like that's leverage, isn't it? Leverage.
Yeah, it
That's
is
building
leverage.
on a hill.
That's
So
right.
we have to own property. Historically, look at Reconstruction era, right? Look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was built because, right? They bought the property, man. They own their own, and no one could tell them anything. And they built their own business and built their own families and communities, etc. But God really showed me that we were going to buy that building. Fast forward, we bought the building. Now, I didn't think it was going to take 17 years to do what you just showed. I'm thinking, I'm a young guy still. I'm like, oh yeah, 3 or 4 years, we're going to build something, 5 years tops. But New Rochelle didn't really do that whole massive development. People don't know there's a whole big massive development plan downtown New Rochelle, like it was in the downtown in Baltimore and other places across the country. And they're building all these buildings and building housing and apartments and etc. But they're looking at market rate stuff, and I get that. But my vision was definitely to do a large part of affordable housing. So fast forward 120 units. We have approximately 120 units will be about half the rent. And the other ones, that's a 477 apartment building. So it's 477 apartments. 120 of those will be about half the rent. So, which is more than I could have anticipated. That's God. That's a God thing. But I tell you what, man, when God gives you a vision, or what your purpose is, and you focus on that, and you don't let anyone stop you, not the city that you live in, not the politics, not the politicians with their hands out, and you remain true to what you're doing. And God, it was God led. God will provide the increase. He provides. He stretches us well beyond our capacity to be stretched. That we think our capacity is. And so, I stuck with the vision, shared the vision with people, and people came on board. And we didn't pay a dime for that building. Let me be very clear.
Wow.
We'll own 22,000 square feet out of that building approximately. The first 2 floors in the front, 500 Main Street is our address. We're keeping that. And we were able to find, God led us to, a number of developers came to my door and, trying to make money out of this deal. But we actually settled on the only Black-owned developer in all the 7,000 apartments that are going to be built in New Rochelle. We have a Black-owned developer. And I know them. I pledged one of them. Well, actually, 4 of them are from my fraternity that I knew from college parties and stuff. But God does something with relationships that you keep, or you don't burn bridges. And all of a sudden, fast forward 30 years later, and you're in this big business deal with a $294 million building. $294 million.
Wow.
I was just trying to build a few houses, few apartments, right? And to help somebody in need.
Right.
But now it's right downtown in New Rochelle. Somebody's asking where it is. It's 500 Main Street, New Rochelle, right off the corner of North and Main Street. If you know Alvin and Friends restaurant, great restaurant, right? Diagonally across from Alvin's Soul Food, right?
Yeah. He owned his building too.
He owns his building too, my friend Alvin. Is a very smart man, gentleman, Renaissance man.
Yes, sir.
But, so we're doing it, and we're not really doing it. God's doing it. We just was focused on what God called us to do. That's the short story.
And so the church is inside the building.
We will own that part of the building. So we'll own our 22 or so thousand square feet. And I don't know if you know this. So in the building, we have retail. So we have our sanctuary. We'll have a school in there, New York Covenant Academy, 150 to 200 kids.
Oh, awesome, man.
At least half of them who are needy, meaning they can't afford to go to a private school. They will be going to our school if they want to be at our school. There will be a full court, high school regulated basketball court in the church. In the church building, right? So you'll be able to. That's the sanctuary dovetails is that, but it's a high school regulated court. That's kind of my Boys and Girls Club steal.
Yeah.
Because we know kids need focus. Basketball is, amongst other things, is one of the great ways of helping our children. And we want it to be a community church. We want it to be a Wakanda. We want you to come in and be able to feel like your family can stay here and grow here and be educated here. And I said we own retail. Part of our deal is right next to our church is going to be our property as well that we'll own in the building, will be retail. So we're actually going to make sure that the church is sustainable economically in very different ways. Now, whatever we have there retail will dovetail whatever we do in ministry. It'll make sense. You'll get it. You're like, yeah, it's supposed to be here. I get it. But we're going to have retail. We're going to have economic sustainability. And we didn't pay one dime for this building, and it paid off our mortgage when we bought that building. Now we don't owe anyone anything, and we will own that part of our building lock, stock, and barrel. So,
woo! I don't know if y'all listening out there, man.
That's God, right? That's God. Yeah. Man.
You talk about stretching in a limitless God.
Amen.
Amen. That's awesome.
And that allows us to do ministry, right?
Yes.
As people give to the church, as they give to the church, regular members give. We're like focusing on straight in the ministry, straight into helping the least of these, the last, the lost, the left out, all that.
Oh, so. Awesome, man. Yeah, man. That's why I wanted you here, man, because I wanted you to stretch people, because we can stretch. Like the situation that happened Friday. If God stretches us, there's, because what you're talking about is miracles. You're talking about supernatural. Most people don't know what signs and wonders are. Well, you just had a sign and a wonder.
Amen.
Yeah. They don't know what it is, man. But man, God wants to stretch us, man, where I believe in God. We can, this stuff on violence and stuff like that. His love is so awesome that, man, I mean, he can he can destroy this violence, man. And
absolutely.
Because all it is spiritual, man. I mean, it's the scripture says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities, powers, spiritual wickedness in high places, man. Right. But you got to know how to fight. The fight is in the spiritual realm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
fight's not on the ground; it's in the sky.
That's right. Yeah,
right.
Man. Yeah.
Right. Ask Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
If he was in the sky, he would be right. He was always winning in the sky, man.
That's right. Yeah, because nobody can get up there with him.
But no doubt, absolutely well said.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, and we got to hear more testimonies like that. I think we got a question here. Yeah, remember, we are open. Sure. It's interactive, so we're open to questions.
Absolutely.
If you got any questions or comments, please don't hesitate. So it says, "What is your biggest obstacle in obtaining your vision?"
Yeah. So I think there's two, right? I would highlight two. One is your own self. And you talked about that earlier. Yeah. It's your own self. You can get in the way of as you said, I'm quoting Lowe's Moore, you get in the way of a limitless God. God will do exceedingly abundantly all what we can ask, hope, or imagine according to the power that works in us, right? And that's when we get in his way, not that he can't push us out the way, but God, right? Just like the Holy Spirit. I mean, obviously, Holy Spirit is, someone used to say this all the time, is a gentleman, right? So you don't expect God to push you out the way so that you can do what you're called to do. You have a choice to make. Like, am I going to stay with what I'm doing, or am I going to kind of, fade to black with it? And when many people outside, almost everybody outside is telling you no, and God says yes, you have to stick to the plan. And it looks dismal. I can't tell you how many times we work to get this done. and I failed.
Mm.
I failed many times, but I didn't stop moving forward. That's it. I got knocked down so many times. I just kept on moving forward, moving forward. And it was like, this is not happening. And I said, well, he told me it was going to happen. So I just have to remain faithful, push the plow, and not look back. It's not about failing. It's about how many times you get up, right?
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So, that's it. And the other obstacle, honestly, as we talked earlier, is politicians. I had a councilman come to me, who came to me I had tried this in 2007, and two of them came to me at separate times and said, I know you were trying to build some affordable housing at 500 Main Street at your church, and we shot it down. They did like a straw poll where they tell you whether you're going to get it. The council's going to accept it or not. I'm telling you the real. I don't care because I'm not a politician. They take a poll and tell you whether they're going to approve your plan or not, so they don't have to like deny you in person or in public. So they're like, we're not going to approve your plan. So I said, all right. So, but it's God's plan, right? So, okay, whatever. And so a couple of years went by, and the councilman approached me and said, Pastor Holder, we should have took your project. We lost a lot of money from the state and federal funding because we didn't have affordable project, at least that was significantly affordable in the pipeline. That was a mistake. And this is what he said. He said, this is a guy, don't know him from Adam, basically. I know who he is. And politically, he's not on our side, right? But he said, we missed it. You had a vision. We didn't see it. You were like 5 years ahead of us. He said something like that.
Mm.
And then I had another one come to me on the same city council who said, when we got the project done, he said, I know you wanted to do it before. And we didn't see it, but now we do.
Mm.
So, you can't listen to men have their own plans, man,
and God
we're on
laughs.
God's plan, right? You got to keep moving forward.
Man has his own plan and God laugh.
Yeah, that's the truth. Whoever made that up, it's the truth, man. That's the truth. So,
oh man, I mean, this is simply awesome, man. When I seen it on Facebook, man, I said, look, hold up. I'm on all my pastor friends. Where all my pastors friends? Look at this, like that,
I remember I had nothing, man. Like, nothing, man. But God shows and proves, man. And it's well beyond me. I'm not that bright, and I know that, and that's a good thing to know when you're not that bright. So, and then you really depend. Not that you don't strive to be bright. Don't get me wrong. I've been in school half my life, so you don't strive to be bright. But I know I'm not that bright. I just have to work hard.
Yeah.
And be faithful. So.
And my wife said, "What's next for you guys?"
Okay, and I got something. Yeah. I give you something. So we are. So I need your help. Oh, that's another conversation. When we get when the building goes up, I want to run some leagues. I want to run some Christian-based leagues. Everybody's welcome, of course. I'm just talking about some leagues like the Catholic Church has leagues. We should have leagues.
Yeah.
Everybody's got ballers. We got ballers, right? So we need to have our leagues in our churches like we had back in the day. I really, truly believe that. So
right.
I'd love to just pick your brain and get your counsel from that. But so that's what's going to pop off. But the thing that I'm working on now is God has given it to me. So I'm going to start. I'll say it out loud. I'm starting a commercial cleaning company that will employ, again, low income people who need jobs. And I have a friend, a good friend of mine from UCLA. I went to business school with, a brother from Compton. He's from Compton, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so was Serena and Venus.
There you go. He's from Compton. So, he's a brother, right? So it's my friend. He's from Compton. He started a commercial cleaning company years ago. Fast forward, he employs so many people out of prison. I can't tell you. His attrition rate, meaning like the people who leave his company, is so low once they are are employed because they love him and love his company. It's a great model for how you employ people in need. He trains them. He gives them sustainable health. He gives them health care. He gives them benefits, pension, all this stuff, sustainable wage. I love his model. So I called him and said, I really want to believe God's giving me a vision to start a version of what you're doing in LA. Let me explain what he does, though, real quick. He has a contract for LA County. That means he cleans every LA County building in LA County. Do you know how long? I think Los Angeles is the largest county in the country.
That's right. Yeah.
He cleans every building. The brother from Compton. He cleans UCLA dorms. He cleans the business school. He cleans UCal Berkeley. He's in Arizona. He's in San Diego. He's in Florida. It's his company. He is amazing. And he's employing all these people who would be considered unemployable, and giving them sustainable wages, giving them working wages so they can sustain their families. I love his model. I called him and he said to me, this is what we're going to do. I don't want you just give you counsel. You're going to start a subsidiary, a subsidiary of my company in New York. So I got all of his everything. Think about all of his management systems. He uses only iPads to have people check in to clean buildings. It's crazy. I get all his training, when I buy supplies, I get all of his deals. And he doesn't want a penny. He doesn't want a penny. He said, we'll split it 50-50, but my 50% will go back to you doing, not me, because I don't want any of it, to go back to doing programming and God's business to help more people. So that's what I'm working on, man. And I'm just amazed, at this opportunity. So I'm going to take it and run. I'm going to run and tell that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking for I'm going to get some contracts, but it's based on his reputation. Once you have a company that does that, it's not like I'm doing it.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about NYCC and the membership and how amazing that has been.
So, So I didn't know anyone, man. And so no disrespect to everybody in Westchester, but anybody knows you from the 5 boroughs, everything above the Bronx is upstate. That's what we used to say. It's like, oh, you from upstate, I really accept the Mount Vernon, though, because my mother used to get her hair done in Mount Vernon, and my uncle owned the travel agency in Mount Vernon. So, and my mother used to be in the travel agent business, so we used to be in Mount Vernon a lot for some reason. And Denzel's mother used to do my mother's hair, But so except for Mount Vernon, because Mount Vernon just felt like home, but everything else was like country. You're like, oh, that's country. Except for Mount Vernon, much respect. The rest is country, right? So I didn't know anybody. I had to start from scratch, and we used to send out these mailers, man, like really nice glossy mailers, and it's just simple. It just has a picture of me and my wife, and then my kids eventually, and just said, look, we're a new church. This is who we are, real plain and simple. We bought Black Enterprise and Essence Magazine addresses, just throw them out everywhere, right? Mailed them out to thousands and thousands of people. And people just came over their own volition. They're like, I got this mailer and I couldn't take it off of I put it on my kitchen. I put it on my refrigerator. I couldn't take it off. Just simple. And they God was calling me, and they came and they joined. Then they brought friends. And it was incredible. Like over time, I went out of church that's huge, whether we have 400 or 500 members, but it's always grown just methodically, right? 20 members a year, 25 members a year, just, with a low attrition rate. Like when people join your covenant, very rarely do people leave unless they move away. So we've got a great, great congregation. God has blessed me. It's his church. I honor him with it, and people from all over. But it's Black. We're unapologetically Black. It's Black folks. That's all I'm gonna say. We unapologetically Black. We're Black, and we proud of being Black because that's who God made us to be, and we're gonna be Black, right? So, and it's all good. It's all good, and we love everyone. It's been a joy. To serve that congregation, and we're gonna build a little Wakanda And
Wakanda, I like that.
trying to get that vibranium going. That's all.
It was, you know, some books I used to read back in the day, man, when I was talking about, you know, faith in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, spiritualpreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a book, Spiritualpreneurs, and
Nice.
Jesus is my CEO. Right. Yeah, I used to read all them books. back in the day, man.
Right,
And you
right.
actually doing it, man. I used to read all about these companies and stuff whose bottom line was about people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, the families that work for them, and that was their bottom line, and that impacted their business. Most of people bottom line is about resource, not about people.
Right.
And so to see you doing this is just amazing.
No, that's what I think. That's right. I mean, what you just said about resource. You know, when you watch, if you watch any of CNBC, and they talk about like the president, CEO, come on, and he'll always talk about his stockholders more than almost always, not always, but almost always. The companies that are fleecing people talk about their stockholders. They're beholden to their stockholders. The ones that talk about they're beholden to their workers is a good company, because the company then is talking about, right? Typically, I'm just generally speaking, but because it's about helping the people that do the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see that often. You just don't see that. It's stockholders, because that's the resource,
Right.
but it should be focused on the people,
Mm.
because the people are your better resource, right?
Right.
They're the ones who bring you to look at and say, what do we bring to the table? How can we build on this hill? The people are the hill, really, at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, but without the people, ain't no hill.
Exactly.
Well, you know, and I think that when you talk about politics, you know, and you know, I think it's important, man. Sometimes and I've had a conversation with a number of people, right? And I always say, like, I didn't always, as a team, right? As a team, you know, a lot of my teammates, we would assume like you. Sometimes that's not always the case.
Right.
You know, we some people assume we like the coach, you know, but the bottom line is, what is the goal? What's the mission? The mission is to win, right? So you can put aside whether I like that person as a teammate or whether I like the coach, because I don't like losing, right? So the key is winning, right? And I tell, again, I'm like you, I'm not a politician. So I've told a lot of politicians, I said, look, I'm not a politician. So my thing is, but I told them just what I just said about being on a team, right? And when you know the bottom line is winning, and in the case of communities, right, you're winning. You're the mayor, you're on the city council, the controller. Your bottom line is you win when the people win.
That's right. Amen.
Right. When you impact people, it's not about, when you impact people around the world will look at you and see what you've done with the city. Then they acknowledge you because you've gotten results, right? You've gotten success. People are growing and people are getting educated and people, you know, and then you get rewarded.
Right.
Right. Because
absolutely.
And my wife just said, you know, and people ask me when I was with the Boys and Girls Club in the national conference, they always ask me, I always said that I'm a servant leader. Right. And so I'm here to serve as a leader. Right. It's more important about the families and the kids that come to the Boys and Girls Club. And because we impact them, right, somebody is going to want to invest in the organization.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well said, man. Look, the greatest reward is seeing people that you've served flourish.
Mm-hmm.
And you sit back and you're like, wow, I was preaching recently and speaking to my congregation on a Sunday, and I was like, the joy that I get in seeing people and looking at you and seeing how much you've grown is a level of maturity that I'm learning. Like, it's a beautiful thing to be at that point. It takes a long time sometimes, but to look and say, wow, I'm excited that you are excited. I'm excited that you are doing well. I'm excited that this has grown you and your family. I'm excited that God allowed me to play a part in serving you. But it's not about me. It's just seeing you do well. Just makes my heart warm. That's the greatest reward. So I can be tired, but I'm so restored by just seeing you flourish in what God has called you to do and how whole your family has become. And that's not patting me. That's giving God glory for that. But it's just playing a part. It's what the Apostle Paul said, 1 Corinthians 9, it's like, I do it all for the sake of the gospel so that I might share in its blessing. So it's like, I'm just trying to share in the blessing, right? To see you do well. True. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing. So,
we said,
when are you leadership?
Yeah, servant leadership. Yeah. So when are your services? My wife was asking.
Oh, yes. So right now because we're not in our building. You saw the video you showed, right? They knocked our building down and put the buildings around it. Great developer, BRP Developers. They're primarily in New York. Our services now are at First Baptist Church in Bronxville. It's Pastor Lamont Granby. Some of you may be familiar with Granby Funeral Homes, which is a great funeral home on White Plains Road in the Bronx. And he is the pastor. Lamont Granby is the pastor of First Baptist Church, Bronxville, right off of the Cross County, New Rochelle, 407 New Rochelle Road. We're meeting early because they meet at 11, so we meet at 8:30. The good thing about meeting at 8:30, you have the rest of the day, brother and sister. The rest of the day, and we get it in. One of my our minister of music for many years. One year, some years ago, he was nominated for 3 Grammys, man. 3 Grammys in one year, man, for writing. So we have a great band. They're all great lovers of God, love Jesus, and the boys can play. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm a music guy. So like I said, I went to Performing Arts High School. I didn't mention that, in Manhattan. So I'm a music. I love it. I live it. I can't live without it. So we make sure we give God our best in that way. But we meet at 8:30 in the morning on Sundays at First Baptist Church.
I'm gonna have to come down. We have to come by and visit.
Yeah. We're like right down the street from Mount Vernon High School. In fact, it's right there. So yeah. We'd love for you to come through.
Yeah, we always in Bronxville. I mean, we go over there to Pastor Owens is over there. Pastor Bishop Derek Owens is over there too.
Oh, I know who that is. Okay, sure.
Yeah, Tingle. Yeah, my wife went to school with Derek, right?
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, beating on him when I was a little kid. He had that nice afro and a beautiful jump shot.
That's what's up. So we are the building will be finished in the fall of 2024. So
okay,
we'll be back on 500 Main Street with a brand new building in fall of 2024. So
yeah. I always love building projects, man, because my wife did a sermon, right? What's that sermon?
No elevation without excavation.
Yeah, no elevation without excavation.
I gotta hear that one. You got an audio video of that. That sounds great.
Yeah, no, I use it all the time. I always tell people, man, look, I always say that men are foundational. Right. And we when you look at the house, that's the wife. She's got making it beautiful, and all those things. But underneath is the foundation. That's the importance of a husband, a father, is to hold up that foundation. It ain't pretty, right? So I love going looking at buildings, man, when they first excavate, when they're getting all that stuff out, man. Yeah, man.
Hey, look, you just talking Ephesians 5, man. That's Christ and the church. That's the husband and the wife, man.
Yeah,
right. Christ is the foundation, right? You right there, brother. And the church, right? The building, right? That the church is the wife. Right?
That's right.
Beautiful. So that's great.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it.
So, Pastor, I want to say thank you, man. Time be speeding along. I know you're in Philadelphia. You know, I understand your daughter has become a Delta. My daughter, I told you my daughter's a Delta too. So she just crossed over. Y'all gonna be celebrating.
Just a couple hours ago.
Yeah. So
thank you.
I want to say thank you thank your wife and family for allowing you. I gotta say that, to take some time out of your busy schedule, man, to hang out with me. And
it's a pleasure, man.
Yeah, I enjoy it, man. So
I enjoy you all your years, man, and continue blessings over you, man. You're amazing cat. So just glad to call you friend.
Same here. And I'm gonna have to give you a call, man, and talk about some business stuff, man, since I'm out here trying to be an entrepreneur myself.
Yeah, let's do it. I love to talk. Absolutely. Any way I could be of help, I'd love to talk about it.
All right. And so thank you, Pastor.
Yeah, thank you so much. God bless everyone this evening. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. And to all you who joined us tonight, I want to say thank you. I want you to keep in mind and keep in your prayers for the city of Mount Vernon, right? And, also scripture says, it talks about praying for your country, right? When it says pray for your country, pray for those who lead you, pray for your governors and your mayors, and pray for your city, right? And I want you to pray, that our cities will, our country, our city, our counties will, in this moment of time, turn back to God, right? Acknowledge God. I don't hear anything about acknowledging God. I don't hear anything in regards to if there's a remnant, if there's a solution. I don't hear anybody talking about God, right? And I'll say this final thing, man. One time I went to a conference. It was interesting. I went to a conference about sports, and it was a sports conference in regards to the African Americans. And they asked me to speak at one of the sessions, right? And this is so crazy. We talked about finances. We talked about a million things, and it was probably about 20 to 30 sessions. And my session, you know how we are at a conference, at the end of the conference, ain't nobody trying to stay around, listen to nobody at the end of the conference. But everybody trying to get on their plane, their bus, their car, they getting out of there, right? But they put me, I was the last session of the day of the conference, right? And they asked me to speak about God and sports. And I said to myself, if we're going to talk about God, we need to put God in the beginning, not at the end. I think we have really lost sight that God has become an afterthought when it comes down to solutions that need to be and things that need to be changed. This is crazy that we could lose sight of God, right? We can talk about every other thing, but we don't want to talk about God. I think we need to put God back in our memories, right? Give ourselves back to God, right? Give ourselves back to God so he can be a blessing to us, right? And when we left up to ourselves, we are very dangerous, right? And we are seeing the results of it right now. And I'm not talking about religion, right? I'm talking about God and a relationship, right? I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about a relationship. So again, I want to say thank you for your support of the Blueprint podcast. Man, each and every week you guys come on. I hope this has been a blessing to you. May God bless you. Have a wonderful week, right? And I hope that God makes the sunshine come out, right? That God makes the sunshine come out all week long and we get some great weather, right? God bless you and good night. And don't forget next week, we got Bobby Daniels, the artist, the legend, sports legend. And then on April the 24th, we have Coach Bob Cimino. Man, I'm looking forward to that. We're going to talk some basketball. God bless you guys. Love you. See you next week.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.